2020.
So today it's time to talk about
kind of
what's
like a
in my camera
bag video updated for
with a what's in my camera bag.
camera
video.
gear that I bring into
Is
about what's in my camera bag.
Well, due to all the pressure online, we are going to do a gear bag review. This is my gear bag for 2020. So this is my gear bag for 2020. Some of these items are like things that we will always take on a shoot. Some of them are stuff that we sometimes take on a shoot, but this is our core gear for 2020. It's always nice to do these because it's nice to take stock of what you have, what you still need, what you probably shouldn't have, that kind of thing. But with me in particular, I research every piece of gear I have like crazy. I sometimes take months to decide on even the cheapest piece of gear, and then when I purchase it, I know it's the piece of gear for me. So starting with that, with the cheapest piece of gear, I would say probably this and something else here is the cheapest. So this is a top handle for your camera. So what you will do is you will pop it in the hot shoe mount like this. So you can see it gives you a grip. There's a YouTuber I follow called Mark Bone, and he had this as his like top tip for beginner cinematographers. When you have a top handle, it gives you more grip. So when you're trying to create more stable footage handheld, you want as many contact points as possible. So, you know, plant your feet in the ground, bring your arms close to your body and shoot. Now, when you have this, you've got another nice grip to hold onto. You've got the capability to shoot down low, and I have a shot like that in one of my recent videos. And yeah, it just gives you a bit of weight to your camera, so it improves the shot that way. Just overall, it was just like a revelation to me. I like looked online for a few weeks just to find the best one for the lowest price. So I'll find out which one I bought and I'll give you the link below. The other piece of gear that is cheap and will revolutionize your filmmaking, especially when you're in the beginning of making films and all you really have is a camera, probably don't have much in the way of stability, is a monopod. I mean, there are quite a few uses for a monopod, but the main one being planting it to the ground and getting your shot nice and smooth. It's also really handy when you're out on a shoot and you can use it as a walking stick through the bush, and then you also have your camera handy wherever you are. So monopod, I really used to enjoy it, and also I used to double it up as a handle for vlogging. So it used to look a bit weird, but then also gives me stability when making B-roll. So all in all, a really nice tool to have at all times. I don't use it that much anymore because I've got other gear, but still a very cheap, handy tool to have. Moving on to audio. Audio is something very important to me personally as just a creator. As you can see, I've got some music gear behind me. My first thing that I started to do as a creative is create music and record music. So for me, I purchased the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. There are a lot of products out there that now are cheaper and possibly even just as good or better than this microphone. But for me, a lot of those mics are geared towards voice so that you can pick up voice more effectively. This has got a more even frequency spread. So what it is it makes it very, very versatile. So I'm even going to try and use this in the studio when I start recording again in the coming months. So, and I've actually done a couple of videos on the channel where the only source of audio for me singing and playing a song is this Rode mic. So the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, it's quite expensive, but really, really good. The other great thing about these mics, not particularly the VideoMic Pro Plus, but these on-camera microphones, is that they have a screw thread at the bottom. So you can even boom these mics if you just get an extension cord, and you'll have to get a little adapter here, but you can actually screw it onto a monopod and boom it at a shoot, and you've got a boomed mic. So very, very versatile. So you can see why I started with a monopod and then saved up for this, because it gave me a lot of options right in the beginning of making films. The next step in audio was to get a field microphone, a field recorder. Zoom have kind of dominated the market, especially the low end of the markets in this regard, because they are affordable and really, really good. No one really comes close to the Zooms. I know a lot of guys use other products, but these really are the market leader. I like this particular one, the H6. It is a bit of overkill for most people. It comes with detachable capsules. You've got the XY mic, the mid-side range mic, which I don't use that often, but is quite nice for acoustic instruments and other things other than voice. And then it came with a shotgun mic, which we have actually used many times. This shotgun mic, as opposed to the Rode mic, is more geared towards voice. It has a bit more of a high frequency response and a mid-range response, so it picks up voice really well. I recorded Mr. Nel from Boerplaas in the veld, in the Klein Karoo, with this microphone, and got really stunning audio with that. And so you can see this is the Swiss Army knife of recording. The other purpose that I use this for is as a sound card. So I sold my big fancy studio sound card for recording in the studio for this, so that I could use it for video and for home recording. So a really versatile tool. So when you do finally buy a field recorder, think to yourself, what do I need it for? And Zoom have a whole range of products for you to choose from. Sorry, that sounded a lot like an advert, but I'm not advertising any of this stuff. It's just, I love talking about this kind of thing. The next thing I think we should talk about is the drone. This is my drone of choice. It is the Mavic Air. You know, as I've grown, I saved up for this thing. I got this thing by the skin of my teeth. Eventually got it, but now I'm keeping it out of choice. Like, obviously, my wife will freak out if I said, well, I'm selling this and I'm buying another drone, because they're so expensive and it's a lot of money to put in the air. Yeah, drones aren't for everyone. I know Tony Northrup did a video of how you shouldn't buy a drone, and I think in many regards that is true, because to legally make money from drone footage, you need a license, and there's a catch with that as well. You know, even once you've got a license, you've got to pay fees to the local authorities and that. So from that point of view, drones aren't really worth it. But if you can get some footage from the sky, I think the Mavic Air is probably still the best deal on the market today. The other great thing about this drone in particular, the Mavic Air, is that firstly it folds up like this, so I can pack it in my bag without the cover, but it also came with this pouch, and I don't even know if the Mavic Mini comes with a pouch like this. So if my bag is full, what I do is I just clip it with this sort of mountain climbing clip, and I clip it to the top of my bag and I carry it like that. So this little pouch comes in very handy, and I use it. It's not one of those pouches you get and you just put in your cupboard. All right, so I referenced the bag, so let's talk about the bag. Initially, my interest was piqued in this bag because I mentioned him a lot on the channel, Peter McKinnon. I kind of went crazy with Peter McKinnon for a while because of his like B-roll, and I discovered B-roll, and I was discovering film and all that kind of thing. Kind of like, you know, when you look up to someone like that, you look at what they have and think maybe I should get it. Anyway, after research, I realized it's not just a cool looking bag, it's a really useful bag. So firstly, when I'm out on like when I need to hike for a shoot, it's got all these air vents at the back, so my back doesn't get sweaty. I've still got some of these dividers in the cupboard, but there's a lot of little dividers so that I can set it up per shoot. So if I decide to put my drone in here, I can make the compartment perfect size for the drone. It is pretty handy that way. What I like about it is it's got this hard shell top. So if I put my camera here, I've got easy access to my camera. It also has these side access pouches, and I use this a lot. So when I'm at a shoot, even like a social media client, what I do is I'm like, okay, left-hand side is 12mm. So then I know I've got my wide angle lens on this left-hand side pouch, and I can quickly change the lens, put the other lens back in here. So that I use all the time. So that's pretty handy. It's got all sorts of straps everywhere, so it comes with these tension straps. So I often attach my gimbal to the back here with the tension straps. It has a pouch at the front here, which I think you can probably put paper in. I just keep my bicycle key there so that I don't lose it. Oh yes, and it's got a pouch for my iPad, which I put my iPad in there, or an 11-inch MacBook Air or something you can fit in there. So yeah, if you have a bigger MacBook, this bag is not going to be for you. Going back to the cheap stuff, I got this Manfrotto mini tripod. There are rip-offs, but the thing is this ball joint needs to be good quality, otherwise it's going to wear. So I use it for my slightly heavy XH1, which is over the weight class for this. So the main reason I bought this is for vlogging. So I use it to vlog. I don't like the Gobi, that bendy tripod. I just don't like it. I don't like the fact that if I put it down, it might fall. You know, I'm not these other vloggers who can deal with my camera falling while I'm vlogging. So This to me is a little bit more reliable. Also, it's really nice for time lapses. So I put my doodad on here and make a time lapse. So that's quite handy. And now that I think of it, we actually should have used this for that camera over there, because currently we have that camera strapped to a music stand, so it is looking pretty precarious over there. Anyway, we should have used this for that. Mental note. So it comes in very handy. The other thing, not so cheap but really handy, is this Leatherman that my father-in-law got me like 12 years ago. It's incredibly durable. I know they're very expensive. I think they're over 1,000 rand now in the shops. Back then I think he maybe paid 500 rand and it was a lot. It's got a star screwdriver, it's got a pair of scissors, it's got a flat screwdriver, pliers. It comes in handy in every sphere of my life, and I just keep it in my camera bag because I use it often. Another thing that I spent money on almost a bit begrudgingly, and it's turned out to be an invaluable thing for the camera bag, was, you know, every time I buy something I want it to be a camera or a microphone or a lens. I want it to be like exciting. And I got this very boring 30,000 milliamp hour battery, and it has been a lifesaver because I can plug all my cameras, my mirrorless cameras, charge on the go. So I plug my cameras into here and I can charge them while I'm walking into a client's, or my iPad runs dry. It's actually a fast charger for my iPad. This has been a lifesaver. I take it everywhere with me. I take it on holiday with me. I take it to bed with, no, I don't take it to bed with me. Okay. So that is, actually I do take it to bed with me. It sits on my bedside table because it just is that handy. Another cheap thing is this tape, gaffer tape. This is, you get Gorilla Tape, which is that tape that once you stick onto places, it stays there. Like people use it to fix their cars. This is not that. This is something that comes off a little bit easier. So gaffer tape is great for just strapping things together. Again, we'll show you the footage of that camera. We just gaffered it down. We've used some gaffer tape here to mark the table so that we know if we ever do this again, we can put the table in the same place. This tape is really handy. I've actually made a T on the floor in front of us for when I do headshot shoots. Very handy. So gaffer tape just comes in handy. You probably find it strapped around here to protect my gimbal. Like I use it everywhere. It's strapped to my pedal board over there. Like I use it for everything. And then another cheap thing, if you walk into your local optometrist, is to get a small blanket. It's a lens cloth. So just before we did the shoot, we cleaned the lenses. This one's getting a little bit old and dirty, but really nice because it's so big. The other thing that you can get from your optometrist, which is not here, is lens cleaner. So my wife at her optometrist has these little spray bottles of lens cleaner. Get that, you will thank me later, as the YouTubers say. The next thing where I did a lot of research, and this is when I was like spending a lot of time on Chinese websites like GearBest and Banggood, I discovered this Xiaomi Mi Action Camera 4K. This, I bought a little rubber casing for it to protect it because it's, although it looks stunning, it's not super durable. But this is a lovely little 4K action camera. It's beautiful looking, and it does 4K and 100 megabits per second. The 4K doesn't have stabilized footage, but you know, for someone, like sometimes you need something that's just good enough. You know, I don't want to spend lots of money on a camera that I use every now and again. We mostly use it for behind the scenes or for weird angles here and there, but I don't use it a lot, but it has come in very, very handy. So action camera is nice to have around, but when you are building a gear bag on a budget, like I don't see the point in spending 8,500 rand on a GoPro. It just doesn't make sense to me. So this camera has been great. And then the next item that we have on our list, which has been great for this, is with that 4K footage, we use this Zhiyun Smooth Q. It's a really nice little handheld gimbal. Just a note on gimbals, like I got this gimbal because I want to get smoother footage in my shots before I had all this gear, and it does that, but I thought you could get like cinematic movements and stuff. This really is just to keep out the shake. Don't expect, I mean, if you really spend time and do fancy things, you can do it, but this is great for, like, I was on a speedboat, and a friend of mine also had a Smooth Q, and he put the action camera in this, and we like on the speedboats, and it was nice and smooth footage. So that is what these little gimbals are for. We also just use this mostly for behind the scenes these days, and for in case we are ever in a situation where we need smooth footage, like in a dangerous place where I don't want my Ronin S and my fancy cameras to be. So that's what this is for. The next one is my Ronin S. I know it is quite an expensive purchase. I'm a bit miffed because when it came out it was a certain price, and now they've brought out a cheaper version. They brought out the SC version, which is even cheaper. But that being said, I don't have buyer's regret with this. This is just a lovely gimbal. It's excellent quality. A friend of mine has the Zhiyun versions of this, the Weebill, and I think he just purchased the Weebill from owning a crane. But I'm just really happy with this. It's built really well. It's super smooth. Does what I need it to do. I've been to many long day shoots and the battery just keeps going. Great gimbal. If you have any questions about the gear, please ask me questions below. I'll obviously add links to Amazon as well, which helps me out. But really what I want to do is start conversations in the comments below, and just, you know, if you have any queries about any of this gear, send me a message. I've spent so much time researching these things, so I'd love to get in a conversation with you. I eventually purchased this lens because I just felt, you know, I need to cover all my bases in terms of focal ranges. So this is a 55 to 200 millimeter. It's not the best f-stop. It is a 3.5 to 4.8, which is not fantastic, but it is a really nice lens. Fujifilm lenses are in general just wonderful. It's really sharp. It's got lovely contrast, and you know, for events, for holidays, for getting long shot portraits, you know, like I used it, even though it's not very good in low lights, I used it at a wedding for the speeches and just lit up the subject and got a beautiful image. So I like this lens. The next Fujifilm lens, which I just did a review about, is the 56mm f1.2. This is an exceptional lens. This is one of those lenses that kind of just like transcend all brands. Canon users love this lens. People just know about this lens because it's Fuji's sharpest lens. It is a beautiful lens for f1.2, excellent lens, and I've only had a little while and I just can't sing its praises enough. The other Fujifilm lenses I own, the one is on a camera I'm talking to now. This is the 35mm f2. The nice thing about the f2, because Fujifilm do this range of lenses with the very wide apertures, the 56 1.2 and the 35 1.4. But then they also do a range, the 23 f2, the 35 f2, the 50 f2, and they're weather sealed. They're a little bit cheaper. They're much more compact, and their performance is a little bit better in terms of autofocus and that. So technically, this was supposed to be a lovely video lens, and I was very disappointed because the autofocus does a lot of hunting. I don't know if it's doing it now in this particular setting because we've very well lit, but the autofocus is not fantastic in terms of for video. It does a lot of what people call breathing, so it'll go shh, shh. It doesn't make a noise, but it does that the whole time, which I really don't like. You know, I did a wedding for someone a while back, and I was really worried about editing later because they were going to curse me while editing because it had all this weird movement while I was filming. That being said, I'm sure the image right now is very nice and it has served me very well. More affordable lens, and I really enjoy it. And then lastly, on this camera, we've got the 18 to 55mm lens, which is the first Fujifilm lens I ever owned. This lens is really sharp for a kit lens. It's super durable. It's made of metal and plastic. The f-stop is a little bit better than most. So at 18mm, you're getting f2.8. So it lets a little bit more light in. I use this lens mostly now as an 18mm because I've got all the other lenses. It is a nice starter kit. It's very nice because it's got good stabilization. So if you've bought an X-T30, which are the cameras we're recording on today, if you bought an X-T30, that lens with that camera is great for video. Obviously, you're not going to get the sweet background blur you're getting with like a 56 f1.2, but that lens really has served me well, and we still do use it. Obviously, we're using it today. So those are my lenses, and then I also own vintage lenses. I really enjoy vintage lenses. I love the look and feel of them. The one that I bought the other day, but it turned out this thing is heavy, which I love that. I love it. It's like a weapon. It's supposed to click back and forth for macro. It's supposed to switch focal lengths, but that doesn't work. It's supposed to be a 35 to 105, but I think it's stuck in 35mm at the moment. So I really would like to get this fixed because I did a video with it the other day and it was beautiful. I like the vintage lenses because they don't have all the coatings to stop light flares, and you get a more hazy image, which emulates a little bit of like Hollywood. So I quite like that. Then this one is the one we use the most and is really nice. If you watch the previous video we launched about the 56 1.2 lens, it was shot on this lens. It's a Mikaton 35 to 70mm, and it's just beautiful. And then my cheapest and probably one of my nicest vintage lenses. So if you want to buy a cheap vintage lens that's going to work for you, remember all these lenses, only mirrorless cameras can do this. You get an adapter and you put it on the mirrorless camera. Because of the flange distance, I think it is, with DSLR cameras, you can't adapt vintage lenses for them. So with mirrorless, you can get adapters. But this is the Pentax 50mm f2. It is a very plasticky lens, so it's a budget lens from back in the day. But if you can find one that is in good condition, you're gonna be set. I mean, these things are beautiful, they take beautiful images, and really affordable. I got this one for 150 Rand. Okay, so that's everything so far. I want to mention a few things sitting around the studio. Firstly, this light in front of me. This is the light. Put the name up here, I can't remember right now. I'm fighting off the flu and my brain's not working. So this is a great light because we took it on a shoot. It's meant for fashion photography. I think that's what it was designed for. But this diffuser, it has two diffusers. The one right at the front can be removed, and then it disperses the light a little bit more. The light gets a little bit more harsh, but then you can set it for a wider area. So I did those cocktail videos with this light with the first diffuser removed. A really nice light, very bright, and the light is bright. All right, so the tripod that camera is standing on is a Slik video tripod. You can check it out in the links below. The only thing I would say that isn't nice about it, it's geared for video, got nice little swivel head and all that kind of thing, but it doesn't have a standardized top plate, so it doesn't use Arcus or Swiss or anything like that, but it's really nice, and it has screwy leg things. So you have to unscrew it, punch it in, it's not a quick release, so that's just a bit of a pain with that. But I know Potato Jet used that tripod. It was his first tripod, so it's a good budget video tripod. Just the leg release thing is a bit of a pain. So you're at a wedding, you've got it upside down and you're busy twisting it and the things are falling. It's like, it's not perfect. And then that camera is my personal X-T30. The reason I bought it is it's affordable, it's got incredible video features, it's better video features than my Fujifilm X-H1, and it has bang on autofocus. So if you're looking for a budget video camera to get into the market with, the X-T30 is the way to go. Like, I'm recommending it to everyone. A few people have already purchased it at our local store at Kloppers. It is a fantastic little camera. So this light is very, very bright. This isn't even the brightest it goes. There you go, that's the brightest. This is a Dracos light, we'll find the model name for you. You can even remove the gels, so you can get a piece of Perspex with a different color gel on it. This is just a dispersion one, and you can change the color. But it's a very nice light, it's very bright. It runs what I think are old Canon batteries. Let's see what it says here. Sony, so these are the old Sony batteries that you can use. You can get bigger ones. They're easy to charge, the chargers are cheap, the batteries are cheap, and overall just a nice durable light does do the job. So that's that. I think the only thing I would like in terms of those sort of lights are those small ones you can get so that you can pop them around the studio and add little pops of light here and there. But yeah, that is a very nice light that we got. So one of the things that we did was buy this microphone, the Boya lavalier microphone, and we are so impressed with this mic. We did a test with it the other day. I can highly recommend this. It's way, way cheaper. I bought it for 250 Rand. So, and you can hear it now. It's exceptional audio quality. It feels like I'm in a proper studio, but I've got noise outside, all that. So highly recommend the Boya mic rather than spending like 1,000 Rand on the Rode product. Yeah, just a lovely little lavalier microphone. Oh, I forgot to mention this lens. It is the Samyang 12mm f2. I got it because it's f2, so it lets a lot of light in. It's a manual lens, so a lot of people won't like that. I must mention this has let me down a couple of times because it's so wide and not ultra sharp all the time, especially at far distances. What I use it for is I know that at 0.5 meters I can vlog with it. So I actually quite like vlogging with manual lens, especially with my X-H1, where the autofocus isn't always perfect. This is a great way to go because I know at arm's length I'm in focus. So I use it for vlogging, I use it for room shots at my clients, but the only thing is I can't rely on this 100% professionally because it is difficult to see the focus peaking with this lens, because at further distances away from your subject, the focus peaking gets a bit dodgy. Then, last but not least, my camera is the X-H1. This is my first professional camera purchase. I absolutely love this camera. I like it because of the grip. When I'm walking with a big lens, you know, I can grip it like this. It has a little ridge for my thumb. I personally like the way that Fujifilm have done there. So you get a vertical, so if I'm at an event and I do that, I can get the shot, or if I'm at a restaurant and I want to get a shot over the bar, I do that a lot. It just pulls out, so when I'm low down. Rumor has it that they're going to adopt more of a Canon style articulating screen. I'm going to be really bummed about that. I think they should have kept this functionality and then made it flip out. I don't know, I was skeptical. That was the one thing moving from Canon, and now I love the system and now they're changing it. So anyway, apart from that, I just love the X-H1. It's got this LCD dial at the top, so it tells me how much video time I've got left, how much battery life I've got left. If I've taken photos, it tells me how many photos I've got left. It's quite handy, and it tells me my settings while I'm shooting, so I can check the settings there. The viewfinder on here is exceptional. I think maybe the X-T3 has caught up, but this was the best viewfinder out of all the Fujifilm cameras, and I think even out of when it came out, it was better than Sony, better than Olympus. It was just really, really good. So all in all, I just really enjoy the X-H1. I think as a standalone video package, I think if they could just improve on it, that'd be great. I really hope they don't ditch this camera and kind of meld it into the X-T4. Really hope they just take this to the next level with an upgrade. Well, that's it. The whole point of this is to start conversations with people who are watching. I'd really love to just give you advice, tell you that maybe that isn't the product for you, maybe that is the product for you. Buy the X-T30, don't buy the X-T30, move to Fuji, stick with Canon, whatever it might be. I'd love to start conversations with you. Please subscribe to my channel, please share this with your camera loving friends, and I'll see you in the next one.